Hey everyone, welcome to PunkCast. My name is William Maxwell. I'm a student of Web3 and the owner of Punk9527. CryptoPunks are 10,000 uniquely generated characters stored permanently on the Ethereum blockchain. No punk is the same. This is a show dedicated to celebrating the punks behind the punk. My hope for this podcast is that we capture the essence of the punk culture, elevate the brand and the individual behind the punk. One last thing. Projects discussed on the show is not financial advice. Crypto and NFTs are a volatile and risky asset class. Please always do your own research. Other than that, let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of PunkCast. Today we're back with Punk4729. She's a rare single attribute punk with the cool regular shades. In real life though, he's a seasoned golfer, digital nomad, and the co-founder of NFT project 3D FrankenPunks. It currently also has 4 CryptoPunks held in its treasury. Please welcome Nelson to the show. Nelson, my man, long time no see. How are you?
Hey, how are you, Max? Thanks so much for having me on, and really excited to jump into an episode of PunkCast. I've listened to a few in preparation, and I feel really fortunate to be invited on. So thanks so much.
Amazing. Well, mate, before we get into everything, how was the rest of Ape Fest week in Hong Kong? I think you and I had got up to a bit of mischief that week, but how did you find that whole week?
Well, for anyone who hasn't been to Hong Kong, what a special place! Wow, I mean, it is just outrageously beautiful. I mean, right on like basically what is that? That's the Mediterranean or the South China Sea or whatever sea that it's on. There's this inlet and it's smashed between some mountains, and wow, it is just gorgeous. The food's amazing. And then, yeah, I mean, the Bored Apes and every part of that project just did a fantastic job putting on, some cool events and bringing people together. And I would say the only thing is like, it shocks me that these projects come to these events and literally the merchandise is sold out in like an hour and you have like 3 days. It blows my mind that these projects can come here and like be ready and not be ready for like this onslaught of merchandise that people want to buy. And it's just like, it was an hour in and people were like, we're done. Like, we don't have anything left.
Did you actually go back for that, the Bored Ape drop that next morning, the Bape stuff? Did you go back for that? Wait up in line for that?
No, dude, I'm too white to be wearing that stuff. Like, I'm not good look. I think I'm just not cool enough for that stuff. Like, I think there were some things that looked really good, but it just, I heard the line too. It was opening at like 9 and people started at like 6:30. And I feel like it's everyone's worst nightmare too. You fucking get there at 7 and then you're like, yep, sorry, kid, done. There's nothing left. It's like, oh, man, brutal.
Oh, that was brutal. Lucky, I remember when you and I think it was Dan that was already in the merch shop, already lining up. You're like, dude, yeah, it's got to be a pretty big line.
Oh, that's really a sneaky man. I remember what you did. That was a seasoned crypto move right there. Just like a man, bobbing when everyone's weaving type thing.
Yeah, just for everybody listening, I found the back entrance and basically it sort of saved me like an hour of lining up, which is for the Bored Ape merch that was there. No, that was a fun time.
I was kind of pissed off about too. It's like, not to get too off topic, but this question of IP and NFTs, I feel like is such a hard one to answer. And even like this question of like what to do with your CryptoPunk IP, like it's definitely a question that I've been tossing and turning with. And it seems like it's really hard to find an answer. And I was just so impressed with a lot of these brands and companies that have formed around some of the Bored Ape yacht NFTs. And, specifically there's like cards and vodka and games and soap and water and like all this different stuff. And I'm like, bro, why are you not like bringing these companies in and allowing people to buy from them? Like, it's just like, I would have loved to own like, like buy some Bored Ape yacht vodka or, buy like some branded material. Like, I think, I don't know. I was kind of surprised about that because IP is a pretty big question these days in NFTs. And
Well, maybe we could. I mean, that's a pretty heavy topic. Maybe we can double into that a little bit later on down the track. But really excited to tackle this, Nelson, because I actually don't think we actually had a chance to sit down and get to know each other in terms of background and bits and pieces. I think we were always out most of the time and in a casual setting. That's right. You were the DJ for Punk's brunch that didn't actually get to DJ. So we were fortunate enough or lucky enough to have Chris Lyons from A16Z, who also was put in touch from Natalie from Yuga. So he basically DJ'd for the whole day. He did an amazing job. But yeah, appreciate you putting together the playlist. But anyway, let's get back on track. Your handle on Twitter is Tracker NFT. What is Tracker NFT?
yeah, wow. So this is like a really good question to start off with. So I've been in NFTs for about coming on right now about 3 years. I got in like January 2021. So I was actually kind of early. I'm kind of like an early OG NFT person, and I hope people are scoffing at that because it's so funny. I still think it's kind of like such a false moniker. But I've been in NFTs for a little bit, and I actually, when I first got into crypto, I didn't get into NFTs on the jump. I actually followed this really interesting path. I don't know if you guys remember kind of at the turn of, it was kind of like knee deep in COVID stuff. And it was just January 2021 and GameStop is pumping. Okay. Wall Street bets is pumping. And I think I can't be the only one that was just kind of like enthralled in that story, kind of like basically like the little league team beating like the New York Yankees type thing, and whooping their ass and like beating them at their own game. And that just kind of threw me into like, man, this is really cool and I want to be a part of this. And so I did what any, degenerate, 26-year-old guy would do at that time, and just smashed some GME and bought some call options and was just along for the ride. And that's when I started getting into Twitter. And everything happens with GME and AMC, and I don't even think I made money with that. Like, held it all the way down, and I ended up kind of getting introduced to like kind of this crypto community of Dogecoin and ETH and some of these other shit coins like Pi. I don't even know if you remember this, but Pi, the mining shit coin. And I was like, what is this? I was like, and I actually started this thing called Doge Tracker. And I thought it was brilliant because I was basically just posting like just tweets being like Doge, and this is the day too when it was like Doge to 5 cents. Doge, if Doge gets to 5 cents, we're all fucking rich, If Doge gets to 10 cents, oh my God, that would be insane. And I would just post. And actually the real thing that kind of was a crazy thing for me was I would start buying Doge in like small quantities, and then I would post it. So I would be like, hey, I just bought a buy order. And then I would post it to Twitter. And people fucking loved it, dude. People absolutely loved it. They were just like, oh my God, this guy's such a degenerate. I'm like, yeah. But the craziest thing, it was like, it's classic bull run, but I was gaining tons of followers and Dogecoin is going up. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, I'm making money and I'm gaining tons of followers and like kind of this leveraged effect of like, I'm using the buys to not just buy, but also just like gain kind of a reputation, or a smallish reputation. And then after I was like, fuck, I just don't want to tweet like Doge to the moon every day. And I was like, there has to be something deeper here, like there has to be something deeper here. And that's actually where I was reaching out to a friend who is much deeper in crypto, and he was like, bro, this NFT thing. It's like these NFTs are fucking nuts. And it made total sense from the jump for me. I've been a social media guy for a long time, and it was just kind of like owning content, owning digital property rights. And just that was like the only jump that I needed. I kind of like left curved it. I was like, I don't need to hear more. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me. That's really cool. And I think, basically I want to play around in it. And I've always been a guy too, that I would way rather throw like $500, get skin in the game, and learn like, oh fuck, that's how gas fees work, right? I'm like sending like 10 transactions in a row when I'm trying to mint my first NFT, and it's like, why aren't these going through? It's like, oh, I need to change the first transaction and not send just 10 more transactions. Where sure, maybe people could have learned that through reading it, but damn, you kind of learn that shit really fast, and you get very accustomed with the ecosystem, with just skinning your knee a little bit and diving in and having your own money at risk. And I understand some people don't have that money to lose, which then yeah, you got to resort to being a little more scrappy than that. But I think I was fortunate where I did have $500,000 to lose on some of this stuff. And yeah, my first kind of mint with NFTs was art blocks. I was super lucky. It was a project called Archetypes. And this is where just the full addiction set in, because I literally am sitting there at my computer. I go to mint this. That's the one where I'm sending like 10 transactions. Even way back when, it was still a fucking gas war, like Wild West shit, right? They're like, all right, everything's for like 0.2. Best of luck, guys. And everyone's just like, go, 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 smash, smash. What gas should I be using? What fucking, what should I be doing with this, this, and this? And that's why I was like sending so many transactions, because I was like, oh, I want to buy more and I want to buy this. And I only got one archetype. And I remember I went to fucking sell it, and the floor was 4 ETH. Literally, I bought this thing for 0.2 and I'm selling it for 4 ETH like 5 minutes later. And after that, I was like, bro, this is either a super elaborate scam or this is crazy. This is a gold mine. So I'm just hunting art blocks drops. I'm hunting everything. And I'm basically just like, yeah, I just basically became super, super engrossed and started growing through Tracker NFT. Like during those early days in 2021, like, yeah, I was posting a ton and I was much more active, and I was trying to like kind of give insight in just like pure trading and like degenerate type of mindset stuff. But honestly, kind of struggled with the imposter syndrome a little bit, or a lot, because I was like, who am I to like be telling these people, here's what you should be doing? Like, fuck, I get to my like 2 months ago, and I don't have any bags. I had like, at this point, my entire bag was that like archetype sale, so I'm like, fuck, it's like, who am I? I've made like 2 big sales, And like now I'm trying to like be like, yo, here's how you do this, and here's what you want to look for. I was like, so I actually I had this meteoric rise where I was like gaining followers really quickly, and I got up to like 20,000, and by like June, July of that year, but I just stopped doing it. I actually just stopped posting, stopped kind of using the tracker NFT moniker. Kind of, I still use it, and it still has grown, and kind of have just let it be what it is.
It'd be good to sort of understand your background though, leading up to crypto and the whole tracker NFT moniker. Like, yeah, could you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what you studied and and all the bits and pieces that made you you before NFT and crypto.
Sure, absolutely. I was born in Boston, lived there for about 6, 7 years. Parents split up. I went with my mom back to Chicago. Lived there for about the next 15, 16 years. My mom remarried. I went off to college. I actually have a really big family. I'm the oldest of seven. So and yeah, got identical twins in the family. So always kind of like a very kind of boisterous, outgoing, type guy. In family setting, always loved sports, very competitive. I think for so long in my early life, like, I just had no clue what I wanted to do. Like, I think I was always envious of people that like, I'm gonna be like X, Y, or Z, or even like I want to start a company, or like I want to go, put a rocket ship on Mars or whatever. Like, just just that type of belief and commitment, I think, was always kind of foreign to me. Um, yeah, and I got my first job. First job out of college was in Texas. I was
Cool. What did you study though?
I studied history. I was
Oh
a
wow.
history major. Uh, Kind of bounced around. I like to say that I had like the best, selection of classes that never ended up turning out. I was a computer science major, and then I was a econ major, and was just downright bad at both, at least in the college setting.
Mm.
Just not that good.
What made you want to pick history though? Of all the things you could have chosen at the time, like what made you steer towards history?
I love people. I love debating. I love writing. I love thinking critically. So like I really enjoyed like so my specific study was like, early like middle America business. So it was like 1900s. So it was like Rockefeller and Carnegie and JP Morgan and Vanderbilt, and like these robber baron type like almost villain businessman characters, definitely villainous. So it was just a really, interesting topic in American history and American business. Yeah, and I just love people too. I love people. I love trying to understand people, and I think that just comes from my family setting and being the eldest. There's a lot of mediating, a lot of splitting people up, and trying to get to the bottom of what's really going on. And yeah, and in history, I think once, and I think a lot of people go through this in college, but it's like if you want to be a lawyer, yeah, you got to follow a certain track, or you want to be a doctor, yeah, or an engineer, yeah, but like for the other 90% of people who go to college, it's like, you don't really need like a business degree to start a business, or you don't need like, a specific degree to go into a specific line of work, or even like a marketing degree to go into marketing, right? Like it very much is like, do what pushes and challenges you the most, and you just enjoy it. Like you're paying for the education, you might as well do the things that you really like. So that's kind of where I started getting to, was just like, like, fuck, it's like I want.
And what kind of sports were you playing? You said you loved competing in
Yeah,
sports.
Yeah, so I was a huge soccer, basketball, baseball guy in high school. And then later I found golf, and I actually got a scholarship to play golf in college. And yeah, I went there, but my school was in Minnesota, which, you did hot tip. Do not go to a school in Minnesota if you want to play golf or any sport for outside for that matter. Like it was the season was short, it's 30 degrees in October. So, and it doesn't get warm until May. So, the season's very short. And I know you're from, the Asia, and which is the seasons flip. So from October to May, it is very cold. Definitely ungolfable. Can't play soccer outside, can't play basketball. Or yeah, you can't play basketball anytime outside. But uh, baseball, soccer, golf, like football's even tough. But um, so yeah, I mean, I've always been super competitive, and I think that actually bode really, really well for my like out of college experience in my first job, which was sales. And if we want to get into that, we can.
Yeah, what sales job was that in? I mean, obviously you're a good
So
salesman. I mean, we can talk
um,
to the cows come home.
so basically, what I did was I moved to Austin and worked for a small tech company, basically selling social media services. And what this company did is they provided a suite of, basically a full suite of social media assistance services like post creation, review responses, comment responses, um, you know, ad reach outs, and et cetera. And we would sell that to like a gym or a restaurant or an auto shop or et cetera, et cetera. And basically what we would do is we would just straight cold call them. We would just sit on the phone, make $100 a day, and just call into these businesses and try and sell them. And it was a you get what you kill type thing. Like we were selling packages for 600-700 bucks, and if you sold that, you took home $600-700. And so it was a super competitive. And if anyone's been in a sales organization, you probably feel some sort of camaraderie with me. I think all salesmen do. But there's a leaderboard. It's just like sports. It's just like golf. Like who shot what? Like you can see every single day. Everyone's called stack rank. You get to see and you see what everyone's making. Oh, John Davis has closed down $10,000 this month. Great, he's getting 10 grand. He's getting a 10 grand paycheck. Great, you
What
closed
what
down
what
here.
what kind of social media services were you selling? Like,
So it was like full scale social media management, content creation, review responses, comment responses, just generally if, let's say you're a restaurant, it was we're going to set up all your profiles if they haven't been set up. We're going to create posts for you. We're going to respond to your reviews. We're going to reach out to your best customers and try and, push deals to them and, invite them in and basically treat your customers as well as possible on all your social media sites. It was great. It was a really, really good way to, kind of build business skills out of college. Running a sales job. I did that for 2 years. I made hundreds of cold calls a week. Probably made over 50. What would be the math? 100 a day. 200 days a year. 20,000. I'm probably making 30,000 cold calls over my time there.
it's
So
crazy.
you get pretty good and you get pretty comfortable on the phone, and you get
Mm.
pretty comfortable, making sales and battling through objections and just kind of being a professional.
It's sales is a super valuable skill and something that I failed to recognize very early on in my career, and I'm probably feeling a little bit of the pain. But I think Naval Ravikant was sort of saying the best skills that you can actually have is either being able to build something, so either a dev or a tech kind of person, or a salesperson. And one of those two is basically going to set you up for life or for quite some time, which neither of which I have. So at least you've mastered one of them, which is a really good thing. So you worked in sales for 2 years. What next?
Then I tried to play some professional golf. Didn't go well. Did not go well at all. Definitely was not good enough to play professional golf. Ended up doing that for about a year. Made a grand total of like $400. Huge waste of money. But definitely a lot of fun. I'm playing a sport for a living. Like, fuck, who doesn't want to do that? But just had to be kind of reasonable. Then I just went on a string of one of my closest friends and the guy that I was in Austin with before. He was starting a company, and he needed somebody to help come in and help him come in and take this thing off the ground. So that's what I did. And we built this company for about 2 years, did quite well. It was a very similar strategy to what we had sold before. It was basically, but we just only worked with real estate agents. So went in, sold them a social media project or product and helped them out. Went really well, grew to about 100, 120 customers in, probably 6 or 7 months. Again, just on the back of cold calling, right? We were super comfortable cold calling people. So we just kind of banged the phones, kept the operation lean. But yeah, then COVID happened. It was 2020 and COVID happened, and we decided to close it down. We decided to the lifestyle was tough. It's tough to create content. We had some things that we probably needed to fix, and honestly also just made a terrible predictive model of the future of like, are people going to be buying real estate in COVID? You're like, oh, probably not. Well, yeah, as the story goes, it was the biggest real estate boom in one of the last 30 years. But or at least in the US it was. So yeah, we ended up kind of going our separate ways for a little bit, and I got the bug. I kept trying to start different companies. I tried to start like this kind of clothing brand thing, and I tried to start a marketing agency, and both were met with kind of middling success. But I was learning. I was slowly getting farther and farther. I was bringing on better clients. I was, hiring the right staff. I was, just learning from my mistakes and slowly starting to hone, I think, the skills that I put to use, on growing the tracker account and getting into NFTs, and eventually even like I ended up hiring 2 people to help me with the NFT thing before FrankenPunks, before whatever. I was like, bro, I need to expand this operation.
So what were you doing to hire a couple people to help you out with NFTs?
Oh, I just had them. I just went to Upwork and found 2 just go-getters. Just like one was like a YouTube creator who like wanted to learn more about NFTs, and the other was like a graphic designer who was trying to get into crypto. And I was just like, yo, like I'm doing well, and like I need people to do research. Like, can't do everything. And NFTs, it's like the lifestyle of the being just like a quote unquote day trader or just like a degenerate trader is like fucking horrific, dude. Like I was like, seriously, like, bro, I would almost never would I sleep through the night. I was waking up like every 2 hours, like to just check that I hadn't missed anything. Like, and it was because it worked. Sometimes I would wake up and there'd be like a project that just dropped, like NFT Worlds. NFT Worlds randomly dropped at like midnight Pacific. I'm in Chicago. That drops at 2 a.m. And it was a free mint. NFT Worlds.
Did you hold those things? I think they ran up to like 15 ETH or something, right? I think I sold mine at like,
Yeah.
point four paper hand and
No,
everything.
no, well, dude, people forget, but they were like at 0.4, 0.5, dropped all the way down to like under 0.1. Like they were at like
Yeah.
0.1 ETH something.
Insane. Insane.
Yeah, and then they ended up kind of just blowing up, just
Yeah.
it's like not blowing up in a bad way, but just like tons of dev work, tons of great ideas. And yeah, just working quick. Like they just
Gotcha.
pump out tons of great updates and but the point was that it was just like, you're kind of trained on like, dude, if you're in a bull run, no time for sleep, no time for friends, no time to go out. Like I was never going out, would never like, could barely even be away from my phone. Like it was an addiction. Like it was like,
I was the same.
you're just seeing new things, you're seeing everything come through, and like you're fucking trained, dude. Like the amount of times I would be out and I would miss it and the pain that I felt, crazy. I was just like,
Yeah, the constant Discord grinding and the gas wars and all sorts of stuff, right? They were good times, but also bad times at the same time. But just want to go back a little bit. Do you remember what your first NFT was?
yeah, it was I'm pretty sure it was the archetype.
Oh, that was actually the Art Blocks one. Was your first NFT ever?
Maybe.
That's insane.
I don't even remember. I could actually I could track it through my wallet, but
But how did you I mean, like, how did you get onto Art Blocks? Because that was like a, coming into NFTs, it's Art Blocks at that time would have been really indie. Like you would have to be in the weeds to really, want to try and get a mint off that.
yeah, I mean, I guess it's just lucky. It was the guy that I was talking to was just all about art blocks. He was like
Gotcha.
in the punk chat, and yeah, honestly, a ton of my alpha early on just came from punk's chat.
Yeah, it was. There was some really good stuff that was coming through there. We used to hang out there or just observe. Really, did you have? So you didn't have a punk then. At what point did you decide to buy a punk? Like, and what sort of made you make that decision?
Well, luckily for the bull run, dude, it's just total bull run luck. Like, I just over 3 months, I fucking worked my way up from, the 4 ETH sale to, like 15 ETH or 16 ETH, which was the price of a punk at that point. And yeah, I used to say I was like, once I get a crypto voxels plot and a crypto punk, I'm done. I was like, I'm just gonna ride those off into the sun, probably. I used to say that, and then it just happened so fast. Like, if you're in a bull market and you really fucking work your ass off, you'll find those just gold mine buys. And I was working my ass off and just nose to the ground, just in tons of chats, listening to people, super active on Twitter. I was running the Twitter account that was doing well, so people were like DMing me like different shit, and like, so it was it was like April 2021. I even like posted a picture onto my Instagram. It's the funniest thing. It was like, nobody knows what this is, but this is like the happiest day of my life, or something like cliche like that. But yeah,
of your first crypto punk.
yeah. And then I just started trading then, dude. I just started like, I would scour the punks. Like I would scour every buy. I would start putting like bids in on people that were like trying to buy them and whatever. And like, yeah, there's no trading fees. So it was like 0-0. So the first punk I bought, I flipped for like 3, and then I bought
I
another
just
one that like
I just did a search for that tweet. It's found maybe the biggest news I've ever tweeted about. Your boy is a Lava Labs CryptoPunk owner. This has been a long time coming, and I'm coming through the roof. Check him out. Welcome 9260. Welcome home. He's a purple hat with the mutton chops and the what are they? What glasses are they? Horn rim glasses. So yeah, he's a beautiful one. I'll have to copy and paste this one. Yeah. Nice. So that was timestamped. That was in April 13th. 13th of April. Yeah, 21. So that's early, man. But like, why did you feel the need to buy a punk of all things?
dude, just from the fucking jump, punks were always the bluest of the blue chip. I felt like, I don't know why, maybe it was like the guy that I was talking to, but it was like, dude, that's the grip. Like, you need to own a punk kind of thing. Like, dude, if you want to get super deep into NFTs, and it was just kind of like, I'm competitive. It was a good thing to work for. It wasn't like, let's just make a ton of money. It was, dude, let's be super diligent and focus and try and trade our way to a punk. The goal is the punk. Like, and yeah, like that was always my goal, was just like, dude, let's get to a punk. Let's get to a punk. Like, and I would look and I'd be, I'd get to 10E. I'm like, fuck, I'm right there. One trade away. I'm at 12. I'm at 13. And I'm at like 17. I'm like, oh, I think I got it. I'm right there. And like, I'm just thinking, oh, right there. And it was just totally like a competitive thing with myself. And yeah, I don't know. I think it was kind of like, these guys, like, they get it. Like they're it's kind of like it's your superhero. It's like your idol. It's like every cool person I know has a punk. Like, I want one type thing, and kind of that type of mentality, and and just the alpha coming out of there. Like, seriously, like for the first 8-9 months, even a year, like all the alpha, it felt like, came from Punk's chat. Like, all these cool new projects, like even like a project like CyberKong's got
Oh yes,
basically, it
I
was
remember
like
that. It's huge.
farmed by CryptoPunks, like, dude, and you just see the weight that they're moving around. Like, shit was trading for 0.01, and then punks get in and it's 1 ETH floor. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, God. And so, yeah, and I think it was just, you come to respect the guys and girls, but I don't know, I was never like super active there. I still felt like, still kind of like an outsider. Like, I never, it's like you're fucking talking around like, somebody you really respect, and like, you don't want to say that, did they find that funny? Like the chat find that funny? Like, fuck, I shouldn't have said anything. Damn it. Like, like it really, it was like kind of this reverential type thing. I'm serious. Like, I'm in the chat,
Yeah.
nervous to like, am I saying like the right shit? Like, fuck, like, say something.
Yeah.
Oh God, they didn't think it was funny. Like, delete it. No, don't delete this. Like, it was like, I remember there was like a seminal moment too. I forget exactly what happened. It was later in like August, but I was like, it's like, bro, this chat is not going to be open for that much longer. I knew it. I feel like a lot of people in that chat were like, they're going to close it to punks only, or at least not close it, but just like the only people that can talk are punks or whatever. But like, yeah, you just, I felt like a lot of people saw the headwinds of that, of like, yeah, like this chat it was just kind of like a enjoy it while it lasts type thing.
Yeah, it was it was a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because, like, people would go in there and hang out for alpha, and basically punks would buy and ape things together, and they would share what they would buy, and basically that would sort of help move and influence the market. And then you get like a coordinated group of people that weren't punks, the white names, that used to sort of come in and just drop random collections in there and just basically just chill in sort of the punks chat. And that got a little bit frustrating at times. But I think the key thing was is that they knew that if they could influence the punks, that potentially they can influence, I guess, the outcome of the collection in some ways. And so um, yeah, I totally remember those days, man. That was it was pretty fun, but also at the same time, uh, there was a lot of alpha that was definitely coming out of that.
Well, dude, I don't know if some people do this, but I actually certainly have, and I would invite anyone to as well. Is you can actually go back like pretty early on, like October 2020, even earlier on, October 2019. Like Discord has all the history, or at least it did for a while. I don't know exactly what it is. And dude, the chats there, you will fucking crack yourself up. It's like Pranksy talking to Jimmy and Beeple and like, oh, there's Matt the founder, and oh, there's D's there, and oh, there's it's like, dude, it's just like a who's who of like all these massive guys, and you just go back and like look at these guys just chopping it up, just
Yeah.
like Matt, I can't like connect my wallet. Like, can you fucking?
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Like, let me get that for you. Or why isn't my name blue? Or like
Yeah.
it's just I would invite anyone, like, if you just have a few minutes or whatever, some time to kill, like go back and look at some of those chats. It's really like it almost feels like a gold, like you're looking back into the very essence of like the biggest NFT project, and just this massive kind of cultural shift that ended up impacting thousands of people and starting hundreds and thousands of projects. And here's like six people in a Discord like just chopping it up. Like it's just kind of like it's just a really cool thing to look through. um
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a shame it's not the same anymore.
Yeah. It's sort of broken up into different parts, but I think like I sense with this new bull market emerging, I think we might get some more people back into the Discord. Hey, so side question, Punk4729, dude, she's beautiful, really clean, simple, regular shades. Why have you picked 4729 out of all the punks?
All right, I'm not gonna lie to people here. I did not expect this punk to be the punk that I would have ended up with. And I don't know if it's like a long-term punk, but like I was saying, like, dude, during that whatever it was, August 20, what was it, August 2021, right? Just like the massive run, right? Starting from like early August 1, where like Gary V like aped an ape and Azat maybe, or he just bought an ape and then bought some punks, and like the fucking floor, right, went from like 20 to then in October to like 130, right? I was just flipping my way up. I at one point I had two punks, and I was like selling them, and then I was buying them, and then I was like trading with other punk holders for like, oh, I like this Atty combination, or oh, I like this one, or oh, I like this. Like, I've probably touched, probably 7 or 8 punks in my time. Um, and yeah, I just became fascinated with like specific traits, like, oh, that like wild blonde, like that's a trait that I love. I think wild blonde is a great trait. Um, yeah, like the big beard. I have a beard. Like, big beard is, I think, a great trait. And like, so you're just looking at different traits, and what's floor, what's not floor, what's the difference in like skin tones, how does that play a part in it? And then I came to one traders. I was like, fuck, there was just a one trader close to the floor. And I was like, and it was this one. I was like, yo, this is, and I like the sunglasses and I like this. And um, yeah, I mean, it's okay. I certainly like it, but I think, I was just trading up and then then the fateful, like I was during that run up, I'm like, should I sell? Is this running the $1 million? Like, and everyone's like, like top tipsy turvy, like, what the fuck should I do? And it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep it. And then I just never could part ways with it after it. Um, I just could never just yeah, it's kind of just a part of the journey. And maybe I will end up with it. Maybe I will end up trading for one that probably represents my identity more. But yeah, it is a beautiful punk, and I think it's a special one. It's a one trader. Like, I think that's something that I was looking for, which is just
It's interesting. I'm just looking at the attribute counts. So you've got in the collection 80 attributes in the whole collection. Then you have 333 one attributes um, punks in the whole collection. Conversely, I think the spread of it, the biggest one is 3 attributes with 4,500 punks with 3 attributes. But if you have a look at the skew in terms of the floor prices, it feels like the one attribute is actually underpriced right now.
what's the five trader at? That's where you really want to look.
The 5 traits at 72 ETH, and the one attribute floor is 57 ETH. So I think that's mispriced.
To be honest, there's some really ugly one traders, but the five traders, yeah, maybe that was a trade I could have made a while ago. People just forget about that every once in a while. Like, there was a five trader listed for like 65 or 63 the other day. And then obviously, we probably want to look at recent sales instead of just floor prices, but it's yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic. Where I think there's kind of like this beauty in NFTs too, where it's like you kind of have to make your own story about why it's valuable. Of like, man, well, this punk can be, is I view it like this, and man, there's only like two punks with these glasses that are even one traders, so it's even rarer than you think it is. And like, like, I feel with punks, people do a good job of that, of like, no, this one is actually like way rarer than you think because of X, Y, and Z. And look at these, let me show you a perspective that you haven't thought of before. And yeah, I just really enjoyed, being a part of that community. And I used to, for a while, I used to like legitimately really enjoy just staring at the ticker, you know?
I think punks will have its run in the short future. Um, I can just feel it in my bones, so I don't think we're far off. If money wasn't an issue for you, what punk do you think you would actually buy then that would more represent you?
Well, actually, dude, I do partially own one that I feel like represents, and I feel like it's low key one of the sickest punks ever. And it's that I own with my a business partner of mine. So if you go to his Twitter, dude, it's a fucking sick punk. It's so clean, great wild hair, sunglasses, sig, so clean. It's just like, I think I think people, if anything, just undervalue just super clean punks. Like, this guy is a real guy. Like, you look at this punk, it's like, this guy thinks he's too cool for school.
So what's the situation with you and Dan? Are you Are you gonna share the profile picture, or does he know that's your dream punk?
Well, no. We chose it. You know, we chose it together, and he really he wanted to use it, and I think, yeah, fuck yeah, punks are meant to be used and shared,
Yeah.
and at least out
Yeah,
there. And
nice.
it's a beautiful punk, and there's a lot of really beautiful punks out there.
Absolutely, and I think you mentioned the Wild White. I think the Wild White's probably one of my favorites as well. If you were to look across the punk community, do you have, like, a favorite punk or series of punks that come to mind?
A favorite punk.
In terms of personalities in the space?
Oh, just like a favorite. Oh, yeah. Well, I think there's some punks I really really respect. Um, I think there's a bunch across the board. I think, what is it, 9-5? There's a punk 9
66529?
6-5. Yes, punk 6-5-2-9. I think, wow, what a head he's got on his shoulders. Like, just love how he approaches problems, approaches the NFT space, and it really, really just comes across, at least, as just a super smart, in tune, critical thinker, which I think is really, really cool. Um, yeah, I mean, I think there's more popular people like these, with his hoodie, 3D glasses, punk. I think that's also a really sick punk. I mean, what a clean punk that is. Dude's a great guy. Haven't really connected with him that much. Like, I don't really know him that well, but comes across as a really great guy, artist first guy. Um, you know, makes time for basically anyone who is putting in the work from an artist perspective, and I think a ton of respect to that, given that how big he's gotten. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, I think even a controversial, or maybe not controversial, but like Punk OTC, right? And everything that Punk OTC has been through and done in this space. I think, yeah, I think I'm kind of indifferent to him. Like, I'm like, he's sniped a few punks from me before, so I'm like, yo, who the fuck does this guy think he is? But then, I think it's just like a classic crypto thing of like, hey, well played, sir. Like, the guy is doing some cool stuff behind the scenes with his obviously just superior coding skills, and looking for value, and you know just basically someone's gonna be there, whether it's front running bids or picking up the fat figured punks or whatever. um
Yeah, I think he's added liquidity to the punk collection for sure. So I think, yeah, I don't have an issue with punk OTC at all. And so you've also been to obviously the punks brunch in Hong Kong, and I think you got a bit of a sense of the punk vibe. How would you describe punk culture to you?
that's a good question. I think punk culture is, it's a touch of professionalism. It's a touch of, I think, kind-hearted nature, rebellion, uh, pushing against the status quo, generally taking the NFT space quite seriously. I think that's one of the things I really liked, is like, hey, this is really fun, and this is a game, to some people, but like, hey, we really think this can be the next frontier, and we really believe that these applications and these innovations can really change the space. And that 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 I think was very enticing to me. It was like, I want to be a part of that. Like, I want to help change this space too. Um, I think, uh, and then other qualities I think are just down to earth, relaxed. You kind of just get this feel of like, in some communities, I think it's like what do you got? How much did you spend on this? Or, how big's your bag? Right. And I think punks is more just like, hey, you got a punk? Like, let's take a look. Oh, that punk's sick. Or, it's kind of just feels more just relaxed. I think the punk community, like, it's just a very kind of laid back, chill, like, um, I don't know. It's kind of a bunch that it feels like a lot of people that hold punks are like in crypto for the right reasons. Like, I think I would be shocked if like a punk holder, like, was sitting there like screaming their face off about how, like, oh, they're not getting the, return that they believed that they were going to get on, an NFT purchase or something. It's just kind of like this. And maybe that comes with too. I hope that doesn't come off as like entitled. I think it just comes with like, again, people are just in NFTs for the right reasons. Like, they're not approaching punks. Like, I think the cool thing about punks is like, you don't buy a punk like being like, all right, let's flip this thing. You kind of buy the punk because you believe in the grail nature of the punk. And you kind of like in the back of your mind, like, fuck, I don't want to get caught when the real run comes on these punks. Like, I just want to hold a punk, be chill, put it in a vault, and, meet other people that feel the same way. So,
Yeah, I think the thing that comes to mind, I think, as you were describing it, feels like punks are in it for, I guess, a little bit more around the fundamentals and the mission. We're here for a mission around crypto and Web3 and decentralization, and not necessarily for the money. Because like a lot of these guys that came into punks came in super early, and they stayed because it was a free mint, and it's a bit of a signal around what you sort of believe in. And I think most punks genuinely believe in Web3 culture, and everybody's a bit of a degen as well and likes to make a little bit of money. But fundamentally, when it comes to punks, it is very, very different for sure. How do you feel about V1 punks?
yeah, you know, I actually was having this conversation today, because one of the projects, the FrankenPunks, were actually like trying to set up a exhibition about punks and about punk education and punk history and what punks mean to the broader culture of NFTs, which we can get into that in a little bit. But um, I think I'm probably more in the middle than most. Like, they're minted NFTs. They have a place in terms of, sure, they may not be real punks, but they are like they hold a huge provenance in the history of CryptoPunks. Like, who doesn't like owning like a mistake, you know? And I hope I don't mean like people are like, oh, well, he's shitting on them. No, it's like, sure, they were minted first. They were stopped because it was a mistake and they had to fix a mistake. CryptoPunks were then created, and, like, those V1 punks are cool and, serve a purpose in the history of CryptoPunks as well. And again, like, who doesn't like, owning the I'd feel weird putting it in like a Web2 context, but like, who doesn't like owning, like a misprint, right? Or like, just, it's rare. And just the fact that it is a Larva Labs creation and it was misprinted and they needed to stop, like, I think that gives those V1 punks value in a different way than CryptoPunks. Like, CryptoPunks are what Larva Labs set out to create, and that's their project, and they're the 10K and they're everything that we know today. But like, V1s also have a special place in history. Like, they were created before punks. They were a mistake. There is only 1,000 of them, right? So like, that history and that provenance, I think, gives them value. Like, are they still around? Can you buy them? Can you sell them? Can you hold them? The answer is yes to all those. Like, yeah, like, have fun with them. I don't own any of them. Um, but I know people that do, and that's kind of my take. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's like a huge. I don't think it's a huge issue, at least for me.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think there's a world where both can coexist. Um, how do you feel about the Yugo acquisition? And maybe we can have a chat about, IP rights a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm certainly sad about it. Just quite frankly, I was talking, like I said, I was talking to some today. I don't know if it's like the founders kind of like sold out, or like it just feel like the culture of like what punks are, of like born in rebellion and like being leaders and being kind of like trendsetters and like kind of like the anti-cool kids type vibe is like kind of that vibe that I get to like then be bought by like the biggest project in the space and like the one with the most like excitement and hype and trends and trending so hard. Like it just feels like it just feels like it's not punk culture to like be owned by Yuga. That said, I think a lot of people forget, but like a lot of the really fucking stringent laws, or at least rules and regulations about what you could do with your punk before Yuga bought, I think it's great that those rules and regulations were lifted and basically just canceled. Right? It was like really weird law. It was like you couldn't use your punk in anything unless you get the anything over like 100 grand worth of value accrued back to the owner without the express written consent of Matt or John. And they were just super stringent on like IP rights. And so I think those types of things were good, but yeah, like I think I also fall in the middle ground of like, bro, like didn't they get like 300 million or something crazy? It's like, yeah, they sold the top for sure.
Yeah, that was a rumor because I don't think the number is officially disclosed, but yeah, something like 300 million is something that was, yeah. But yeah, they would have got paid out something. I mean, because it's for the brand, and they also got the full dev punks as well. So Yuga's holding the bag on a bunch of crypto punks too.
Yeah. So, but it just feels just initial gut is like sad because it just feels like it's just not, it just feels anti punk culture to like, I don't know, be a part of kind of the corporate empire of NFTs.
I know what you mean because like I think when you get aligned to a corporate, it feels like they got to find a way to make profit somehow, and it's not a nice feeling to think that you're going to be their profit, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, no, I'm a little bit with you, but I think just having met Natalie and the things that they're sort of doing, and Noah that was there at the helm for a while, I think they're taking their time with it, and they've been doing a nice job with punks.
I don't mean anything bad by it. I just
No, no, not at all. It's not bad at all. But I'm with you. Like I think when the news first came out, it was disappointing. Like you just felt like you'd been
exactly
abandoned in some ways,
that's
right?
that's what I'm kind
Yeah,
of just it kind of that's
yeah.
how I kind of read it. When the news came out, everyone was like, "What?" It was kind of like, "What?" But I think, yeah, I mean, I hope I'm all for people, using this crypto punk brand and giving value to it and, taking it in a direction that, can add value to holders or just educate people in the broader space about crypto punks. Like, hell yeah. Like,
You spoke about punks IP or about IP in general earlier. Like, what would you sort of see would be an ideal outcome for punks and IP?
I really have no clue, to be honest. I have been kind of racking my brain over that question a lot. And I just don't know. Like, I think I just haven't really even seen many good uses of the IP. Like, I think it's kind of like a red herring of just like use the IP, use the IP. And I'm saying that because at 3D FrankenPunks, we own 4. And for the last 2 years, we've been like trying to find ways to use the IP, trying to find ways, people to partner, brands to work with, etc. And it's just hard. It's just hard to like, besides just like, hey, throw this punk on a bottle and sell the bottle, right? Or like throw this punk on a t-shirt and sell the t-shirt. Like, I don't really, I just think the IP question is hard. And I think, at least from the punk standpoint, like, I would kind of view punks as more like, I would love when people think NFTs, they think CryptoPunks, and other communities might kind of hate me for saying that, but I would love like CryptoPunks to almost be like, hey, understand why this NFT has value. If you understand why CryptoPunks have value, you're going to have a lot easier time understanding why the whole space has value. And if we can just start from a position of like, here's what CryptoPunks are, here's their history, here's the provenance, here's how they play in this space, here's what they're trading for, here's the art, here's how those things coincide together. That is a beautiful way to welcome people to NFTs. Now for like putting them on, products or, restaurants or whatever, like, I just don't know if that's the best way to use the IP, to be honest, but, prove me wrong as well. Like, yeah, like go out and do it. Prove me wrong. I just think the IP question, like, it's kind of just like, yeah, again, it's kind of like a red herring that I think people throw out, that it's like, typically if you're building a brand that is strong enough where the IP matters, like whose IP you're using matters a lot, like your options are pretty wide, and the brand is really, really strong. And, it's more about the brand and less about the image and the IP that you're using. So that's kind of my take on that stuff.
It's an interesting one, and I think as you were talking, I was just thinking through. I think it's a little bit hard to build. For in the instance of your FrankenPunks DAO with 4 punks in the treasury, really just slap it on a bottle of whiskey and go and sell that, because at that point it doesn't really have a persona, right? So I feel like with these identity profile picture plays, you really need to build up a persona behind it. Um, so Nelson, this was a really fun conversation, man, and really love getting to know your backstory a little bit more in detail. Um, Maybe just one last question before we close off, but if you could pass on a message to the next owner of Punk 4729, what would you like to say to them?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Pass on a message to the next owner. This is gonna sound so pessimistic, but like, I was gonna say something like, I just don't view my punk as my identity. I just I've kind of always viewed it as art, not really a digital avatar. And I just think like, if I was to pass on one thing to the next punk owner, it's just, um, appreciate the value that you hold, and if it gets to the point where this selling this thing can change your life, like, you should do it. 100%. And I know people are gonna hate to hear that, but like seriously, like I think the amount of people that, you know, kind of it's like the pudgy penguin, like I am my pudgy and my pudgy's me and I'm never selling it. And I'm like, well, bro, you're working a job or whatever, you know, you're sick and you need help, or you wanna, you know, you wanna take your family somewhere, you wanna, you know, go to college or get, you know, push forward a part of your life. Like this type of money, like if it gets to where we think it's gonna get, like, you know, it's like $1 million, like, fuck, man, that's 10 years making 100 grand a year. Like, you know, it's just life changing money. And I think, you know, who knows? It might go to 5, it might go to 10, it might go to 100. Like, fuck. But I just think that, you know, the purpose of this is like, it is the community. And, you know, I hope that whether you own a CryptoPunk or not, like I'm still gonna like you, Max. Like whether you own one or whether you don't, like you're a good guy and I still like you. And it's not like a it's not a requirement to be friends with for me to be friends with you. And I just think like NFTs are NFTs, and they're not like I just think they are art. And if you love holding the art and you want it in your house, and you know, but also, you know, be reasonable and also live a healthy life and live a life that you're happy with. And you know, if punks can help you get there, like do it. Do it. Like you won't regret it.
Nelson, I think you just need to find a punk that you really vibe with, that is you, that you'll say, "This punk is me. I am my punk," and you'll never sell. And no, but I get what you're sort of saying, and I think I held so many bags during the last sort of bull run, and you know, it's kind of silly. Like if it's life changing money and it's a material amount for you, yeah, definitely, there's no shame in selling. But the reality is like, you know, Nelson, you and I wouldn't have been able to meet whether if it wasn't for punks. You know, I wouldn't have been able to have access to
True.
a bunch of people if it wasn't for
Very
punks
true.
too. And so, you know, I think it's you know, and I've invested a fair bit of time and effort in building a Web3 brand using my punk and what it sort of afforded me in the space. And so for that, I'm sort of grateful. And I think it'll be really a difficult sort of challenge for me to want to sell it. But and again, that's not you know, not discrediting anything that you just said just a
It's a
moment
tough
ago. And
question too.
it is
It's a
because,
great
like, you know,
question.
but it's just interesting to sort of see what people will say. But I think, you know, you definitely come with a deep respect for CryptoPunks, which is always amazing. Mate, this has been a super fun call, and really love getting to meet you in person and partying with you and getting loose with you in Hong Kong. Hopefully we can do it again sometime soon and maybe get a round of golf in. But any sort of final closing comments, and you know, what's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just take a quick moment to talk about the project that I'm running, which is 3D FrankenPunks. It's basically a CryptoPunk DAO. It's not like super official like Punk DAO, but we own 4 CryptoPunks, and you know, our aim is to really be stewards and educators and innovators with the CryptoPunk NFT itself. So if that interests you, and you know, you don't have the money to buy a CryptoPunk, like come check out FrankenPunks. You know, we allow basically full usage rights, commercial rights, and any IP rights you can think of with the punks that we own. So, you know, a bunch of our members use them as PFPs, and you know, we're actually trying to work with Punk DAO to try and, you know, find ways that we can use these punks to, you know, be a part of the Punk DAO and their community and everything they bring to the table. But yeah, the best way to actually reach me is just joining in there and sending me a message, or um, I'm the Franken assistant, uh, and or just, you know, send me a message on Twitter, Tracker NFT. I'm pretty active there. But yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Max. And and it's an absolute pleasure, getting to know you. And I also agree. I'm lucky that we do have CryptoPunks because that's how I do know you. So I think there's certainly, a lot of weight and validity to everything you brought up as well. So, it's tough. It's a fucking tough question. I really, it's a good question. It's like, look at every sunset like it's your last. Something, I don't know. I've never thought about it like that. I appreciate it.
No, of course. I did buy some of the 3D FrankenPunks for the PunkCast Vault as well, and I'll put the website in the show notes for those that are interested in finding out more. And guys, that wraps up an episode of PunkCast for the week. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll be back next week with another amazing punk. Bye for now.